And the next reason behind social media, for the first time in human history, we can reach out with the press of a button to people all around the world and get them to gather together, like Greta did, to march for the climate. Or we can bring them on a particular day to talk about the need to protect habitats or something like that. And then we come to the indomitable human spirit, the people who tackle what seems to be impossible and won't give up. We can pick on Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King, both of whom struggled against seemingly impossible odds and wouldn't give up, and finally succeeded in changing the social feeling of the time. Like in South Africa, apartheid ended, still major problems. Martin Luther King was one of the early people to talk about discrimination against those from African descent. And so we don't have to look at the icons like Mandela and Martin Luther King. All around us we find people go into a little shop set up by a migrant family. Maybe they arrived in this country with nothing. And maybe they were discriminated against, or maybe people turned a shoulder against them because they're just migrants and they come, especially if they listen to President Trump. I hope none of you here do, but... Okay, well that answers that, I guess. But anyway, so these people who've been so badly treated, go in, smile at them, speak to them, and they'll smile at you. And it's incredible the sort of way that they change their lives and gradually come out of absolute poverty and discrimination to make a life for themselves and their children. People suffering from incredible disabilities, physical disabilities, are out there inspiring those around them, where most of us would just be curled up inside our little rooms and not want to go out. And I know a Canadian, and he was born with no arms and no legs. He just has little tiny stumps. You can look him up. Chris Koch, he does TED Talks. He got no legs. He's just got one, I suppose it remains about a foot coming out of his thigh. And he went around Europe on a skateboard. He travels everywhere on a skateboard. And with these little tiny stumps, I've seen him, I've met him 4 times now. He gets out a cell phone, he can text messages on it. He's driven one of these $20,000 tractors, although his farmer friend was a little agitated the first time he begged to try. And when you sit and talk to him, he's alive with enthusiasm and everything. And when I said to him last time I met him, I said, well, have you ever been offered prosthetic legs? And he said, yeah, I've been offered prosthetic legs and arms. But he said, I think I was made this way for a reason. I'm going to stay this way. And he thought for a bit and he said, I just might accept the prosthetic legs when I climb Mount Everest. And this is why I carry Mr. H. I'm sure some of you noticed him in that Roots and Shoots video. And Mr. H was given to me by a man called Gary Horn, who's in the US Marines. He went blind in an accident with a helicopter when he was 21. For some bizarre reason, while he's learning to live in this new black world, he decides to become a magician. And everybody says, but Gary, you can't be a magician if you're blind. If he was standing here, you would not know he was blind. He sets up his props ahead of time. He's extraordinary, and he does shows for children. And at the end, he'll tell them he's blind and say, things may go wrong in your life. We never know. But if they do, don't give up. There's always a way forward. And he does scuba diving. He does skydiving. I mean, I think it's crazy to jump out of an aeroplane. Jump out when you're completely blind into blackness is nothing short of insanity. But I think the most amazing thing that he's done is taught himself to paint. He never painted before. And if you're interested in how on earth he did this, He's done a little book called Blind Artist by Gary Horn, that's H-A-U-N, not H-O-R-N, H-A-U-N, like a fawn. And in that book you'll see a portrait of Mr. H. Gary Horn gave him to me for my birthday 28 years ago. He thought he was giving me a stuffed chimpanzee. And I took his hand and made him hold the tail. I said, Gary, chimps don't have tails. He said, oh well, never mind, take him where you go, and you know my spirit's with you. So he's now been to 65 countries in 28 years. It's the same one, same Mr. H. People say it can't be the same one, it's exactly the same one. So, anyway, we are selling Mr. H Juniors. I'm not sure if we're selling them here, but on our website, Jane Goodall Institute, jgi.org. But anyway, it's not only humans who have this indomitable spirit. And I want to end up showing you a video which some of you may have seen, but it's worth seeing again. It was mentioned at the beginning that JGI looks after orphan chimpanzees, mostly from the bushmeat trade. We have 2 sanctuaries in Africa, one in South Africa, Chimbeiden, and the other in Congo. And it's the largest sanctuary in Africa with over 170 chimps, many of whom are adult. And this little video was taken about 5 years ago. And it's about a chimpanzee called Wunda. Wunda in the local language means close to death. And when Wunda came to this Chimpunga sanctuary, she was nearly dead. Her mother had been shot. She had bullet wounds. But thanks to our wonderful sanctuary director, Rebecca, she was saved. And then later on, when she was about 15, she became very, very sick, and she very nearly died. And she was saved by Rebecca, who gave her the first in Africa anyway, maybe the first anywhere, I don't know, chimp-to-chimp blood transfusion. And this video is about Wunda being released onto a beautiful island. And when you watch it, I want you to remember 2 things. One, and I say it in the video, but just think about it. The first time I saw Wunda was this day. I had not met her before. And secondly, I want you to try and imagine the magic that it was when she's released onto the island. I want you to try and feel what it must have been like to be there, and the emotion that we all felt. And I think it was the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. So let's look at this little video, and then I'll spend 1 minute bringing you up to date on what's happened to Wunda since this video was made. This is a really exciting moment for me. The Jane Goodall Institute's Chimpunga Chimpanzee Rehabilitation Center in the Republic of Congo has for years been caring for infants whose mothers were killed, mostly for the illegal bushmeat trade. Many of them are now fully grown. Recently, we acquired 3 large forested islands on the beautiful Quilu River, where we can release many of the chimpanzees from our overcrowded center. In here is Wunda, and she nearly died, but thanks to Rebecca, she came back from the dead, and here she is about to come out into this paradise. She's the 15th chimpanzee to get her freedom. And we hope ultimately to have about 60 on the island. Today is the first time I've met Wunda. I talked to her on the boat, trying to reassure her. She must have wondered what was happening. None of us could predict exactly what she would do once the cage door opened. It was a very, very touching moment.
one of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. The warmth of her embrace is something I shall never forget. For Wunda and all the other chimpanzees we're working to bring here, Chinzula Island will provide a wonderful forest home where they will be cared for and safe.
Spirit, surviving near death twice. Wunda is now the top-ranking individual in a group of 30. Even she dominates the adult males. I don't think that will last, but you know, in chimp society, males are stronger. But anyhow, right now she's the dominant female. All our females are on birth implants because, you know, we've already got 170 individuals. It's very expensive. These islands, they're not that big. We can't afford to have constantly expanding chimpanzee groups unless we can find a place where we can release them into the real wild, which is what we're searching for. But in the meantime, they have to stay on these islands. And in all the years, like 10 years, these birth implants, anti-birth implants, what do you call them, only one has gone wrong. That was Wunda. Wunda was on the island with this group by herself. There was no help. She had a perfectly good birth. The infant was healthy. The infant is now 2 years old. And the name of that infant is Hope. So thank you.